The conference room fell into a chilling silence as every pair of eyes settled on the man standing beside the polished oak table. Bright morning sunlight streamed through the towering glass windows, painting golden lines across the floor, but nothing could warm the cold atmosphere that had settled inside the room. The words had already been spoken. His employment was over. Most people expected anger, excuses, or desperate pleading. Instead, the single father simply straightened his shoulders, gathered the worn leather folder that held years of loyal work, and quietly walked toward the door. He never begged. He never defended himself. He simply left with a dignity that no one in the room understood. What nobody realized was that the woman who had just fired him had unknowingly changed the course of her own life. By sunset, she would discover the identity of the man she had dismissed, and everything she believed about power, success, and humanity would begin to crumble. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to Soulful Tales2. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that inspire hope and compassion. The man was named Adrian Mercer, a quiet and hardworking father who had spent the last 4 years rebuilding his life after losing his wife to a sudden illness. Every morning before sunrise, he prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, Nora, braided her hair as best he could despite never learning properly, packed her school lunch, and walked her to school before heading to work. His days were long, but he never complained. Every paycheck mattered because every dollar represented another opportunity to give his daughter a better future. The company where Adrian worked had recently welcomed a new chief executive officer named Victoria Hale. She was brilliant, disciplined, and famous for making difficult decisions without hesitation. Investors admired her confidence. Employees respected her intelligence, but very few understood the enormous pressure resting on her shoulders. The business had suffered years of financial decline before she accepted the position, and the board demanded immediate improvements. Every department was being evaluated. Every employee's performance was under scrutiny. Unfortunately for Adrian, circumstances had painted a misleading picture. During the previous month, Nora had developed a serious respiratory infection that required repeated hospital visits. Adrian never missed taking care of her, often working late into the night after returning home. Exhaustion affected his productivity. Reports were submitted later than usual. Meetings were occasionally missed, and co-workers who knew nothing about his personal struggles quietly labeled him unreliable. When Victoria reviewed the performance files, Adrian's name appeared among those recommended for termination. The paperwork contained numbers, missed deadlines, and declining productivity. It contained everything except the truth. That morning, under the bright daylight filtering through the skyscraper windows, she made the decision quickly. Adrian accepted it without argument. As he exited the building carrying only a cardboard box containing family photographs, a coffee mug decorated with Nora's childhood drawing, and a single framed picture of his late wife, not one person noticed the gentle smile that crossed his face. Losing his job frightened him, but losing his self-respect would have frightened him even more. Outside, the warm afternoon breeze greeted him as if reminding him that life always continued, even after painful endings. When Adrian reached Nora's school later that day, she ran toward him with innocent excitement. She had no idea what had happened. She simply wrapped her small arms around him and proudly showed him a colorful drawing of the two of them, standing beneath a bright blue sky. Looking at the picture, Adrian silently promised himself that no matter how uncertain tomorrow became, she would never carry the burden of his worries. Meanwhile, back inside the corporate headquarters, Victoria continued attending meetings. Her schedule left little room for reflection until the chairman unexpectedly requested an emergency discussion. During that meeting, an elderly board member placed a confidential file before her. Inside was information about an anonymous investor who had quietly rescued the company years earlier by purchasing millions of dollars worth of shares when bankruptcy seemed inevitable. Victoria looked at the signature attached to the original investment agreement. Her heartbeat slowed. The signature belonged to Adrian Mercer. Confused, she immediately requested additional records. The company's legal advisor explained that Adrian had once founded a successful technology consulting firm years earlier. After selling the business, he invested heavily in struggling companies whose employees deserved another chance. When his wife became critically ill, he withdrew from public business entirely, donating much of his fortune to children's hospitals, before choosing to work ordinary jobs to remain close to his daughter instead of managing large corporations. Victoria stared silently at the documents. The man she had dismissed as an underperforming employee had once been one of the company's greatest financial supporters. Even more shocking, he still owned enough shares to influence future board decisions if he ever chose to exercise his rights, yet he had never mentioned any of it. Not once. That evening, Victoria couldn't stop thinking about Adrian's calm expression when he accepted being fired. It wasn't pride. It wasn't arrogance. It was humility. For the first time in years, she questioned whether she had judged a human being by statistics instead of understanding their story. The next morning, she asked Human Resources for Adrian's complete attendance history. Buried beneath official records were several approved requests related to hospital visits for a dependent child. Attached medical documentation revealed Nora's illness. Victoria closed the file slowly. Every missed deadline suddenly carried a completely different meaning. Every late report represented another hour spent beside a hospital bed. Every absence reflected a father refusing to abandon his child. She realized she had seen only numbers while ignoring humanity. Driven by growing guilt, Victoria decided to visit Adrian personally rather than sending an email or making a phone call. She found him volunteering at a neighborhood community center where unemployed parents received career assistance and free meals. Instead of searching for sympathy after losing his own job, Adrian spent his day helping others prepare resumes and practice interview skills. Children laughed nearby while Nora happily colored pictures with volunteers. Victoria remained speechless. Nothing she had expected matched reality. She watched as Adrian patiently repaired a broken toy for another little girl before quietly serving lunch to elderly visitors. No cameras, no publicity, no recognition. Just kindness. That afternoon, Victoria finally understood something no business school had ever taught her. True leadership wasn't measured by authority. It was measured by compassion. Days later, she invited Adrian back to company headquarters, not to apologize privately but before the entire executive board. Employees gathered, wondering why the former worker had returned. Victoria stood before everyone and openly admitted her mistake. She explained that leadership required accountability and that she had failed to look beyond performance charts. She publicly apologized for judging a person's value without understanding their circumstances. The room remained silent. Many employees lowered their eyes. Some remembered moments when they had also assumed the worst about co-workers without knowing their struggles. Adrian accepted the apology with remarkable grace. He explained that resentment only chained people to yesterday, while forgiveness allowed everyone to build tomorrow. Those words touched every person listening. Victoria then offered him not merely his previous position but a senior leadership role, overseeing employee development and family support initiatives. To everyone's surprise, Adrian politely declined the executive title. Instead, he proposed creating programs that would help working parents balance employment with caregiving responsibilities. He believed no mother or father should fear losing their livelihood because they chose to care for a sick child. The board unanimously approved the proposal. Within months, flexible scheduling, emergency family leave, childcare assistance, and employee wellness programs transformed the company's culture. Productivity improved naturally because workers finally felt respected rather than controlled. Investors praised the changes. Employees became fiercely loyal. The business grew stronger than ever. But Adrian measured success differently. Each evening, he still arrived at Nora's school before dismissal. He still packed her lunches. He still attended every school performance, every science fair, every birthday celebration. His greatest achievement was never rebuilding a corporation. It was raising a daughter who learned that kindness was stronger than wealth, and dignity more valuable than power. Victoria changed as well. She began visiting every department personally, learning employees' names and listening to their stories before making difficult decisions. Her reputation shifted from being feared to being deeply respected. She often remembered the day a quiet single father walked away without begging. That silent act of dignity had become the greatest lesson of her career. Years later, when Nora graduated from university, she thanked her father for showing her that character shines brightest during life's darkest moments. She reminded him of the old drawing she had made on the day he lost his job, the one showing them, standing together beneath a bright blue sky. She smiled because despite every hardship they had endured, that drawing had always been true. The sky had never stopped being blue. Only the storms had temporarily hidden it. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment with the words, "Kindness always returns." We'd love to know you're part of this compassionate community. As this unforgettable journey comes to an end, if Adrian's strength, humility, and unwavering love for his daughter inspired you, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs hope today. Comment your thoughts. And subscribe to Soulful Tales2. Every interaction helps these meaningful stories reach more hearts. Around the world, sometimes the strongest people are not those who fight the loudest. They are the ones who quietly carry life's heaviest burdens, refuse to lose their dignity, and continue choosing kindness even when the world offers them none. And perhaps the greatest success in life is not proving others wrong. It is proving that compassion can still change lives, one humble act at a time.